Hey everyone, welcome back to English with MN, the place where learning English becomes easy and fun. Today, we're diving into something beautiful and inspiring, the evolution of English poetry. From the deep, dramatic words of the old poets to the modern verses we see today, English poetry has a story to tell, a story of language, culture, and emotion. So, sit back, relax, and let's explore how English poetry changed through time, and how it still speaks to our hearts today. Let's get started. 1. What is poetry? Poetry is more than just words. It's a way to express feelings, ideas, and imagination through rhythm, sound, and emotion. Unlike normal writing, poetry uses special patterns, rhyme, and imagery to create a deeper effect. Poetry can make you feel happiness, sadness, love, or pain, all within a few lines. For centuries, poetry has been one of the most beautiful ways humans express their hearts. And in the English language, poetry has gone through a long and fascinating journey. 2. The beginning, Old English poetry, before 1100 AD. English poetry started over 1,000 years ago with Old English, a language that sounds very different from what we speak today. During this time, poetry was mostly spoken or sung, not written. The most famous example is Beowulf, the oldest surviving epic poem in English. Beowulf tells the story of a brave hero who fights monsters and dragons to protect his people. Old English poetry used strong rhythms and repeated sounds called alliteration. It didn't have rhyming lines like modern poems. Instead, it used beats and pauses to create a musical feeling. The themes were about heroism, war, faith, and fate, showing how people viewed life and death in ancient times. 3. The Middle English period, 1100 to 1500. After the Norman conquest in 1066, the English language changed a lot. French words entered English, and poetry began to sound smoother and softer. The most famous poet from this time is Geoffrey Chaucer, who wrote the Canterbury Tales. His poems used rhyme and rhythm that sounded closer to modern English. He wrote about ordinary people, their dreams, their humor, and their lives. Chaucer made poetry more human and real. He also helped make English a respected language for writing. Before him, French and Latin were more popular in literature. So, Chaucer is often called the father of English poetry. 4. The Renaissance period, 1500 to 1660. The Renaissance was a time of creativity and discovery. People became interested in art, nature, and the human mind. Poetry during this time became more emotional, romantic, and musical. One of the biggest names from this era is William Shakespeare. Yes, the same man who wrote famous plays also wrote beautiful sonnets, short 14-line poems about love, time, and beauty. Another great poet was Edmund Spenser, who wrote The Faerie Queene. His poems were full of imagination, describing knights, queens, and magical adventures. During the Renaissance, poets began using metaphors and symbols to express complex feelings. The English language became richer, and poetry became more powerful and beautiful than ever. 5. The Metaphysical Poets, 1600 to 1700. Then came a new style of poetry known as metaphysical poetry. These poets used logic, wit, and deep ideas about love, life, and religion. The most famous metaphysical poet was John Donne. His poems were full of clever comparisons, like comparing love to a compass or the soul to a journey. Unlike earlier poets who focused on beauty and music, metaphysical poets focused on thinking and reasoning. Their poetry made readers stop and think deeply. It was intellectual, creative, and very original. Even today, students study metaphysical poetry to understand how emotion and thought can work together in writing. 6. The Neoclassical period, 1660 to 1798. After the metaphysical poets, people wanted poetry to be more balanced and logical again. This period is called neoclassical, meaning new classical. Poets looked back at the order and discipline of ancient Greek and Roman poetry. One of the most famous poets of this time was Alexander Pope. He wrote witty, sharp, and rhythmic poems about society, manners, and human behavior. His famous work, The Rape of the Lock, humorously talks about the fancy life of the upper class. Neoclassical poetry focused on reason, clarity, and structure rather than emotions. It was elegant and polished, showing that poetry could be smart as well as beautiful.
7. The Romantic period, 1798 to 1837. Then came a big change. People got tired of rules and logic. They wanted poetry that spoke from the heart. The Romantic poets believed poetry should come from emotion and imagination, not just reason. Some of the greatest Romantic poets include William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Lord Byron, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and John Keats. Wordsworth wrote about nature and simple life. He believed that real poetry comes from the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Coleridge wrote about dreams and supernatural ideas. Byron and Shelley wrote about freedom and adventure. Keats focused on beauty and art. Romantic poetry was all about feeling, passion, and imagination. It gave poetry a fresh, emotional voice that still inspires people today. 8. The Victorian period, 1837 to 1901. During Queen Victoria's rule, England was changing fast, with industry, science, and social reform. Poetry reflected both hope and sadness during this time. Alfred Lord Tennyson became the voice of the age. His poems, like Ulysses and In Memoriam, spoke about courage, loss, and faith. Robert Browning and Elizabeth Barrett Browning brought new life to dramatic and romantic poetry. Another poet, Matthew Arnold, questioned faith and meaning in a modern, scientific world. Victorian poetry was emotional but also moral. It tried to guide people through the challenges of the modern age. 9. The Modern Period, 1901 to 1950. The 20th century brought huge changes, 2 world wars, technology, and new ideas about life. Poets started to break old rules. They didn't always use rhyme or rhythm. They wanted freedom to express life's chaos and confusion. T.S. Eliot wrote The Waste Land, a poem that captured the sadness and confusion after World War I. W.B. Yeats, from Ireland, mixed myths and magic with modern feelings. Ezra Pound encouraged poets to make it new, to use simple, direct language instead of old-fashioned words. Modern poetry became more personal and experimental. It showed how the world was changing and how humans were trying to find meaning in it. 10. The Contemporary Period, 1950 today. After World War II, poetry became even more open and diverse. There was no single style anymore. Instead, poets started writing about everyday life, race, identity, gender, and emotions in their own voices. Sylvia Plath wrote deeply emotional poems about her inner struggles. Maya Angelou spoke about strength, freedom, and equality. Seamus Heaney explored history and homeland through simple, natural words. In modern times, spoken word poetry and slam poetry have also become popular. These are performed aloud, powerful, emotional, and easy for people to relate to. Thanks to the internet, anyone can share their poetry now. You don't have to be a professional writer. Poetry is for everyone. 11. The global influence of English poetry. Today, English poetry is not just from England. It's global. Poets from America, Africa, India, Pakistan, and all over the world write in English, using their own cultures and experiences. This makes English poetry richer than ever before. Modern poets mix traditional and modern styles. They use free verse, rap, or even music. Some poems are only a few lines long but still powerful enough to move hearts. English poetry continues to grow, just like the language itself. 12. How poetry helps you learn English. If you're learning English, reading poetry can help you a lot. Poetry teaches rhythm, pronunciation, and new vocabulary. It also helps you understand emotions in the language, not just grammar and words. When you read a poem slowly, you feel the sound of English. You notice how words connect and how sentences flow. You can start with simple poems by Robert Frost, Langston Hughes, or Emily Dickinson. Even short poems can help you learn how English expresses feelings beautifully. 13. The future of English poetry. What's next for English poetry? The answer is anything. With social media, anyone can share their voice. People write poems on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Artificial intelligence is even helping writers create poetry in new ways. But one thing never changes: poetry will always be about the human heart. It will keep evolving, just like the English language itself. And that's the story of the evolution of English poetry, from the bold warriors of Beowulf to the emotional voices of today. Poetry is not just art, it's emotion in words. It teaches us how to feel, think, and speak beautifully. If you love learning English through stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video from English with MN. Thanks for watching, and remember, every word you learn brings you closer to mastering the beauty of the English language. See you in the next video.